You know, it feels like we've been talking about electric cars forever, almost.
Yeah.
Tesla's showing up, EVs becoming, well, less unusual.
Right.
But have you ever thought maybe the biggest changes, the really disruptive stuff for how we get around, maybe that's still coming?
It's a really interesting way to frame it. I mean, the shift to electric, that's been huge, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But looking a bit deeper, yeah, you get the sense we might be on the edge of something even more fundamental, a bigger shift in mobility.
And that is exactly what we're going to dive into today. We're looking at this really interesting blog post. It's the first of three.
Okay.
It's called Beyond Tesla. The next 12 months could redefine mobility forever. And our mission really is to pull out the key ideas from this first part and, try to understand what the author thinks is coming down the pike.
Sounds good. And the author, Dovydas Mockevicius.
Ah, yes, let's get the name right. Dovydas Mockevicius.
Dovydas Mockevicius, right?
Yeah.
He brings a really useful viewpoint, I think. He's an enterprise architect, a Salesforce expert at IceCloud, also founded SFC&C. His whole background seems to be about how tech shakes up old industries.
Exactly. And when you dig into his experience, it's clear he gets this crossover between tech and, well, everything else. 9 years doing Salesforce stuff for all sorts of companies.
Small ones, big global ones.
Right. SMEs to huge enterprises. And he's currently aiming for that Salesforce Certified Technical Architect, the CTA. That's a serious credential. Tells you about his technical depth.
And what really caught my eye was his time in the auto sector specifically. He was head of Salesforce at Volta Trucks.
Ah.
So he was right there applying cloud tech, automotive cloud, CPQ, all that, to this changing car world. And before that, Accenture, Salesforce architect role.
Right, designing these big multi-cloud transformation projects, big clients, different sectors, different countries. He's seen a lot.
And the certifications just pile up. Identity, admin, CPQ, developer, even Agile certified. Plus awards for sales and leadership.
So the point is, when Dovydas Mockevicius talks about mobility's future, looking through that technology lens, it's grounded. It's coming from real experience.
Definitely. And his main point, in this first post anyway, is that the next 12 months could actually change mobility more profoundly than even the first big wave of EVs did.
More than Tesla. That's a bold claim.
It is. He breaks it down into 5 key areas, 5 breakthroughs he sees happening basically right now or very soon.
Okay, let's get into them. What's the first one?
First up is affordability unleashed.
Affordability. Okay, that's always a big one with EVs.
Right. He reminds us just a few years back, if you wanted an electric family SUV, you were looking at, what, 60 grand, maybe up to $150,000.
Yeah, easily. Premium territory.
Now, though, he points to newer makers XPeng, BYD, Geely, and they're bringing out models under $40,000.
Under 40, wow.
And it's not just the price. He argues these cheaper models are often perceived as better in some ways. More computing power, maybe.
Right.
And get this, longer warranties. He mentions up to 10 years on the vehicle and the battery in some markets.
10 years. On the battery, too.
Yeah. Plus, built-in AI for self-driving features. So it's not just cheaper, it's potentially better equipped.
Huh. That really forces you to rethink things, doesn't it? If you can get an EV under $40 with all that tech, a decade-long warranty, what does that do to the established players, and what does it mean for you as a buyer?
It totally changes the math. I mean, that initial cost has been such a barrier for so many people. If that hurdle just shrinks dramatically and you're getting more features.
Mass adoption could speed up way faster than we thought.
Exactly. It stops being just a luxury or early adopter thing and becomes, well, just the mainstream choice.
Okay, that's a powerful start. What's the second breakthrough?
Number 2, next-gen batteries and charging revolution. This tackles those other big EV anxieties, right?
Yeah.
Range and charging time?
Ah, yes, the classics. What's happening there?
Well, he's highlighting major progress from companies like CATL and BYD. They're pushing batteries with potential ranges of like 500 to 800 kilometers.
500 to 800 kilometers. That's a lot. Like London to Edinburgh, maybe? On one charge?
Pretty much. And they're developing these 5C 1300 volt systems.
Okay, tech specs. What does 5C 1300 volt mean for you at the charger?
It means incredibly fast charging. Dovydas suggests charging times around 4 to 15 minutes are becoming realistic.
4 minutes, 15 minutes, that's like filling up with petrol.
Basically, yeah, it just wipes out that whole sitting around waiting for hours problem. Range anxiety, charging time hassle. These new batteries could make them, history for most people.
That is a massive deal. He also mentions structural batteries. What's that about?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The idea is instead of putting a big battery pack into the car's frame, The battery becomes part of the frame, part of the chassis structure itself.
Like building it right in.
Exactly. And that could cut chassis costs by maybe 20, even 30%.
Right.
Plus, potentially lighter car, stronger structure.
And these advanced batteries, on top of the range and speed, they're also projected to be cheaper, like 30% cheaper.
That's what he indicates, yeah. About 30% lower cost.
Okay, so longer range, super fast charging, potentially integrated into the structure, and cheaper. It's hard to argue with that. That completely changes the EV ownership equation for you, for everyone. Long trips suddenly seem totally feasible.
Absolutely. It tackles the core worries head on, makes EVs just practical.
All right, breakthrough number 3 is power of technology. Given Dovydas Mockevicius' background, this sounds like his home turf.
Totally. He's really focused here on how these often newer companies can use the latest tech to deliver better quality but at a much lower cost. He throws out figures like potential cost cuts of 30 to 50% on the tech and software side.
30 to 50%, how are they managing that? That seems huge.
Well, one specific example he gives is these ether loop-like architectures. Think about all the miles of copper wire in a traditional car, connecting everything.
Yeah, it's like a spaghetti monster under the dashboard sometimes.
Right. These new architectures can apparently slash the amount of copper needed by up to 70%.
70% less wiring.
Yeah. Less material, less weight, less complexity, probably fewer things to go wrong. It's a fundamental shift in how the car's electronic nervous system is built.
That makes sense. A really concrete example. And he also talks about the speed of innovation, over-the-air updates.
Exactly. OTA updates.
Yeah.
Like your phone gets better overnight.
Huh.
He says feature release cycles are getting way faster, 3 to 10 times faster than the old way cars were developed.
So your car isn't just static anymore. It can actually improve after you buy it, get new features.
Precisely. It becomes more like a software platform on wheels, which is a massive change from, waiting for the next model year for any significant updates.
It does make you wonder, though, how quickly does your car feel old if new software features are rolling out constantly?
That's a fair question. It definitely shifts how you think about the lifespan and value of a vehicle. It's less of a fixed object, more of an evolving service, maybe.
Okay, let's move to the fourth one. Autonomy reimagined. Self-driving cars. We hear about them a lot. What's the key point here?
The emphasis from Dovydas Mockevicius seems to be on the speed of improvement, the acceleration and capability. He's talking about these drive-anywhere autonomous systems getting better fast.
Drive anywhere. That sounds ambitious.
It is ambitious, but he argues that the tech is setting new benchmarks for safety and convenience, and it's happening quicker than maybe we realize. It's not just some sci-fi dream anymore.
So we're getting closer to a point where maybe you don't actually have to drive yourself most of the time.
That seems to be the direction. Obviously, full level 5 autonomy everywhere is still tricky. Regulations, edge cases. But the progress in the AI, the sensors, it's pushing things forward rapidly. He suggests we should be thinking about how integrated this becomes into your daily travel soon.
Yeah, imagine your commute. Just reading, working, relaxing. That would free up so much time. It changes your whole day.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads perfectly into the fifth and final breakthrough he discusses.
Which is
a subscription future.
subscription, like for a car.
Sort of, but maybe even bigger than that. He uses the analogy of Netflix completely changing how we watch movies. No more buying DVDs or renting from Blockbuster.
Right, just a monthly fee for everything.
Exactly. He paints a picture where maybe you don't own a vehicle anymore. Instead, you subscribe to a mobility service. On-demand, autonomous rides whenever you need them.
Like hailing an autonomous taxi, but maybe unlimited rides?
Yeah, he even throws out a hypothetical price, like $99 a month for unlimited autonomous rides.
Wow, okay, $99 a month instead of a car payment, insurance, gas, maintenance. That's a completely different model. The financial side alone is huge for you.
It really is. Think about not needing to worry about parking repairs. Just summoning a ride. It could change personal finances, how cities are designed, everything.
It's really interesting how he pulls all these threads together, the cheaper EVs, better batteries, faster tech, autonomy, and connects it back to his world, enterprise architecture, how tech just disrupts things.
Absolutely. He sees the auto industry going through the same kind of upheaval he's probably seen in other sectors. It fits a pattern.
And he makes that point about leaders in the U.S. and China. They aren't just tweaking things, they're creating whole new ways of doing mobility, new paradigms.
Yeah, not just innovation within the old system,
Yeah.
but creating a new system.
And the effects ripple out way beyond just cars, right? It hits other industries, business models, just how you live your daily life. It's more than just electric versus gas.
Much more profound. It touches energy grids, city planning, delivery, you name it. The scope is potentially massive.
And he ends this first post with a pretty direct question for the reader, for you listening. Are we ready? Are we ready to lead this change, or are we going to get left behind?
It's a strong challenge. Makes you really think about how prepared we are, individually and collectively.
And he does tee up the next post, saying he'll dive deeper into the actual technologies making all this happen. Sounds like we'll need to keep an eye out for that one.
Definitely. Understanding the how behind these big shifts will be crucial.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap up our deep dive into this first part of Dovydas Mockevicius' blog post, we've touched on these 5 big shifts he sees. Affordability rocketing up.
Or prices coming down, yeah.
Right, prices down. Then the next-gen batteries and charging solving those old problems.
Making EVs practical for almost everyone.
Then the sheer power of tech cutting costs and speeding up innovation.
Like those Ether loop architectures and OTA updates.
Leading into autonomy becoming much more real, much faster.
Reimagining safety and convenience.
And finally, this potential future where you subscribe to mobility instead of owning a car.
The Netflix model for getting around.
It really does paint a picture where the next year or so could bring some genuinely dramatic changes to how you get from A to B.
And they're all feeding into each other, aren't they? Cheaper cars make subscriptions more viable, better batteries make autonomy more practical.
Yeah.
It's all connected. It could
Yeah.
really reshape how you think about travel.
So maybe a final thought for you to chew on after all this. Thinking about all these potential changes, the cheap EVs, the fast charging, the self-driving, the subscriptions, what's the one thing about your own personal transportation you think might look the most different just 1 year from today?
That's a great question to ponder. It really depends on which of these breakthroughs gains the most traction first, right?
Yeah.
Definitely worth keeping an eye on Dovydas Mockevicius' next post to see where he thinks the tech is heading.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
See you next time.